Hello again, good afternoon everyone. So today we will be continuing our class in web development. So our focus for this afternoon is all about the PHP and MySQL. So as we all know, PHP is a mostly compatible with databases, but majority of users use MySQL since MySQL is open source, unlike other databases such as Oracle or SQL Server. So they are not open source. So uh, they require licenses in order to deploy into a particular uh, institution or company. So majority of users uh, when they develop web application using PHP, they partner it with MySQL. So that's why majority of contents that you can browse online are more on PHP and MySQL. Okay, so what are the topics or objectives of today's discussion? So number one, our objectives are number one. So we are going to convert our project management HTML mockup. So I already developed a mockup so that we could have a productive meeting today and magkaroon tayo ng mas mabilis na output, no? Instead of creating it, demonstrating it today, so uh, I decided to develop a mockup already so that we can easily convert our uh, application into a dynamic PHP web application. Okay? So let me present the mock-up. By the way, this is recorded, so thank you for asking. So, uh, let me browse the mock-up that we will be using this afternoon. Okay? So, I developed a mock-up for project management. So, it's a simple web application that allows the user to manage record for a certain uh, company. So, it deals with product data. Okay. So, there you go. So that's our example interface. So this is a dashboard. By the way, this dashboard is came from the Bootstrap documentation example. So if you are wondering kung saan siya galing or where did this dashboard came from, so all you have to do is to go to Bootstrap documentation, something like that. Just look for it in Google. And I'm actually using the version 4.6. Okay, so I just click the documentation 4.6 and look for examples. It's a downloadable examples, so you can download examples right there, the button. So I use this one sa dashboard section. So as you notice, my developed dashboard is a little bit modified. So I decided to use color blue. So instead of black, so I modified some contents instead of populating the entire dashboard with chart and menu. So I decided to make it minimalistic. So this is the dashboard section right here. So this one. So I just remove, since our focus this afternoon is all about product data. So we have this section wherein we can manage product and retrieve data. So we will be uh, what you call this, we will be converting this to a dynamic page. So this is purely HTML, a purely Bootstrap framework, utilizing Bootstrap framework rather. Okay, so let me continue. Aside from that, we'll be developing a database so that will store product data. So we'll be using that database to store or retrieve information coming from the database. And of course, we'll be building some codes to establish connection with MySQL from PHP script. So we will establish connection from PHP to MySQL. So how do we do that? So we will be demonstrating that. I will be demonstrating that later on. Aside from that, there are actually two ways. Okay, let me correct the spelling. Distinguish. Okay, tama ba? Distinguish. Tama nga naman. Okay, so another topic that we will be discussing today is all about distinguishing the difference between MySQL and PDO. Some of you might be able to access MySQL, but I suggest to use MySQLi. Ibig sabihin ng I is improved version of MySQL uh, code or way of connecting your data to the database or PHP to the database. Also, we have PDO. So it's the PDO is another way to connect with your databases using PHP. So, okay, let me accept some students. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so aside from that, okay, aside from connecting our data to uh, our database or connecting our PHP script to our database. So aside from that, we will be retrieving the product data and display it into table. So we are uh, uh, going to retrieve the data coming from the database and render them into a HTML table. So as you can see, I have this uh, tables already set up, and I have this button for adding new product, something like that. And we have an edit button and delete button. So yun. And aside from that, so we are going to perform database operations, fundamental database operations. So those are create, which means you're going to insert data coming from the PHP script or form and insert them into our database, followed by read, the retrieval of data, and update, how do we modify records, existing records, and how do we perform delete. Okay? So by the way, uh, delete is rarely used into systems. Hindi lahat, what I mean is not all operations in database are actually used like delete. Because you cannot just delete student record, something like that. Because, for example, if the students enrolled into institution like CCDI, what if that student is already graduated from the school? Do you think possible that allowed we are allowed to delete the records? We are not allowed to do that because we should maintain that record until the user requires us to retrieve his or her scholastic data. So it's really used to use delete. But of course, part of the discussion is to provide idea how to perform delete because there are some cases that we need to use them, but not all the time. Okay. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so our first topic for this afternoon is all about converting the mock-up. So I have here uh, the copy of mock-up. So I will be providing you this one later on. So what we will do is we are going to copy this one, and of course we need to open our XAMPP to allows us to run the PHP interpreter and of course to utilize the database. By the way, if you are not familiar with Bootstrap, you can browse the documentation online and study them because I think some of you are not yet familiar, especially those transferees coming from other institutions. So I don't know how they provide discussion with web development because the initial or the fundamental of web development is the discussion of HTML and CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. But for now, our topic is focuses on the dynamic databases since this is a advanced course for web development. Okay, so I'm going to browse my directory to store the data. So let me copy this one, project manager. So our product manager, copy, and then htdocs. So I'm going to store the files in webdev. So by the way, when I check some of the activities, some of you are confused why we need to store the project full files or the activities in htdoc. It's because XAMPP or the Apache server from XAMPP recognizes the directory htdocs as the primary location of web application. If you want to modify the location, you need to go to the settings of the Apache server to change the directory. But for now, let's utilize the default one. Okay, so we'll be pasting the activity files here. So notice I uh, use the HTML section. So instead of product manager, let me rename this to uh, session 4. Okay. So rename natin siya. Session 4. You can post your comments on the chat box if you have clarification. So I have now session 4. So let me open the files. So instead of opening the files directly, so I'm going to use localhost and then followed by webdev. That is the folder located inside my htdocs folder of exam directory and session 4. Okay. Now, it starts with login. So I'm not going to discuss yet how to process login because I already discussed this yesterday or the other day, the previous day. So we will be focusing on the dashboard. Okay. So, and specifically, aside from dashboard, the products. Okay. So, I think focus natin. Okay. So, how do we convert this to dynamic? So first, let me open my IDE. So, I will be using Visual Studio Code, or you can use Notepad as the basic text editor, but I'm using this one since it has full implementation of IntelliSense and so on. So I will be opening the folder coming from the htdocs directory in which my XAMPP folder is located. Okay. With dev, with dev and session 4, select folder. So now I have the okay, let us wait for a while. Our session today is very important, most especially those students who are developing their thesis using or developing a web application in their capstone project. By the way, I will be removing the index, the login, for the meantime, since we are not focusing our discussion in this particular file, or we just rename them or rename it as login. Okay. So, rename natin siya. So, login. Okay, so how do we convert the products.html into a dynamic content? So let us try doing that. Okay, so this is our document. Okay, this is our dashboard. So as you can see, it has 92 lines of code. The products has 163. Okay, so now let's go back. Okay, so why do we need to make this dynamic? So as you can see, in this particular page, like products and dashboard, the only thing that are being modified or the only content in this section that are basically changing is this particular section here. So the dashboard, this part. So let me screenshot this one so that I could discuss further. Okay. So this is the reason why I discuss the uh, tawag natin dito, include to minimize the effort of using multiple lines of code from different files. Okay. So let me explain this one first. So other sections of this page are actually consistent within other pages also. Like for example, is the dashboard. So notice Ito lang part na to ang napapalitan. So products, as you can see, this one, the sidebar, the head, and this one, and the footer are all consistent to other pages. While this one are basically, depending on the page that you access, this will become, uh, let's say, modified. Okay? So that's why in this particular session, we will be discussing how to make this dynamic. So as you can see, so this one is another section. Okay. By the way, this one is another section, something like that. And this one is another section. So this is, oops. Anyway, let me erase this one. Okay. Up. Okay, erase natin siya. Okay, ulitin natin. So this part here is section for sidebar. That is for main menu. This one is for the top portion of the page, which is also consistent. And this one is the main content of our page that basically changes every time the user requests for a data. And of course, the footer is also the same, something like that. So how do we convert this to dynamic? First, we need to access our source. So let's say, for example, a dashboard, we'll be converting this to PHP. So rename and .php. Second, we will be developing a folder. So we will call this include. Okay, includes. And of course, we'll be removing some portion that are consistent in the browser. Let's say, for example, I will be removing, so this is the navigation. So let's focus on header part. So from here, we'll be removing this one from the dashboard. So Control X to remove. Okay. And then we will create another file in the include directory. We call this head or site head. Say for example, okay, site head dot php. Okay. Now, we'll be pasting the code there. So let us save. And of course, in our dashboard, we will be including the file. So PHP, okay. Let us type includes directory, the includes folder. Okay. So the reason why we are doing that, it's because part of the directory that we need to access to include it here into our dashboard is accessing the file inside this includes folder. So that's why I'm calling the includes folder. Okay. And site head.php. So let's comment this out first and let's open our page. Let's see what will happen. So from dashboard, okay, that PHP. Okay, so as you can see, the page is ruined. So let us uncomment so that we could include the proper HTML document or markup. Okay, so now my page is working. So now I'm going to browse the navigation, this one. So I'm going to remove this one, and it depends upon your needs. Okay, if you need to slice something, then do it. If not, if not necessary, then you don't have to slice them anymore. So nav.php. Okay, now I'm going to paste that here, save, and from the dashboard, so since dito ko sa tinanggal, so include ko na lang siya dito. So include, okay. So, okay, by the way, I'm going to write close, nav. Okay. Aside from that, I'm not going to remove this one, but my focus now is this one. Uh, this one is the menu. Okay, sidebar menu. So, in order to Let me check. Okay, this one is the ending portion. So since we cannot remove this one yet, we can also pala kasi naka-row na siya. So we will be removing this one as part of the menu system. Okay. So Control X, and we'll be creating a new file here. New file is called side menu.php. Okay, and then we'll be pasting our document there. So let us properly align them. Save, and of course, in our dashboard, we'll be including them to the required location where the sidebar menu should be inserted or located from before. Okay, so let me copy paste this one. Okay, and site menu. Okay. Okay, and this one is your dashboard. So basically, if we try to look for our product here, products HTML, we have here this one. So basically, the main section is basically maintained from the dashboard. Ayan siya. So ito lang napapalitan, di ba? Yung nasa loob ng main. So basically, we will be removing this one. So close, and we will be calling this as site dashboard. Okay, site dashboard. Okay, dot PHP. Something like that. Then paste. Okay. Oops. Okay. So now we'll go back to main, and since this is your dashboard, so we'll be including this one. Okay. So now if we try to run, by the way, to avoid confusion, just name properly your files para hindi nawawala or you can easily recognize them. Dashboard. Okay. Oops. Okay. So now this is my dashboard content. Okay. Okay, so let's try to render them into our... Okay, so now include site menu. Okay, may nawawala. Include path. Okay, side menu. Includes. Includes. Yeah, tama. Includes site menu. Okay. Merong nawawala. Okay, so hanapin natin siya. No such file. Site menu. Side menu. Sorry, sorry. Sorry. Side menu pala. Okay. Ayan. So, okay na siya. So, basically, what will happen now, when we try to browse products, we should be expecting that this one will be displayed instead of dashboard. So, to do that, we will be duplicating the site. Let me remove this one part. This part pala. Ilagay natin katabi ng mga content. Okay. Since dashboard siya, so hindi na siya part ng include kasi magiging main content to. So, I will be duplicating this one. Okay, copy and paste. Okay, so instead of dashboard, I will rename this as products. Okay. Okay, product list. Okay. Now, I will be copying the contents from products.html. So basically, I will copy this one. So from here up to the end of the table. So let me double check. This is the main. So we need to identify the location of the closing main. Okay, so this one. So let me cut that one or copy, sorry, copy and paste that to product list. So from here, we'll be removing something like that. Okay. So, okay. So now we have this contents. Now, how do we display that when the user clicks the menu from the sidebar menu from the dashboard? How do we display this product list? So I'm going to remove this one, the product list. Later siguro. Okay, try natin. Baka kailangan pa natin i-display yung iba. Baka may nalimutan tayo. So, check natin. Baka may iba pa akong kailangang idagdag. Okay, by the way, we need to add pala this one sa ating header. Since this one is consistent, so copy natin. Pupunta na lang tayo sa site header. Diba? To add necessary includes or file for the next pages. Okay? Aside from that, ano pa ba? Dashboard. Okay. Okay. This one, dashboard. I think wala na. So, yun lang. So, let us check. Products and dashboard. Okay. I think the content are consistent. Okay. Now, let me close this one. Okay. Site menu. Okay. So, now, let's focus now. So, that's the purpose of include. So, let's focus now on navigation. So, how do we display the products page? So, to do that, side menu. Okay. So, to do that, we need to add link to it. So instead of this, we need to add page. Okay. Or we need to call the dashboard dot php followed by question mark, meaning you are adding a parameter. So parameter page equals product list, something like that. So when the user clicks the product, we will expecting or that the system will display the product list.php content. So let us try. So we'll go to our dashboard. This is our main section. Okay. Now, we will be uh, accessing the, what we call that, accessing the parameters coming from the address bar. So let's try to do that first so that we could identify. So as you can see, I have here a dashboard. Okay, let's remove the dashboard, PHP. Okay, something like that. Okay, failed to dashboard, site dashboard. By the way, I did not change the link a while ago. So instead of include, just remove the include. Okay, so let us try, refresh. Okay, now, so as you can see, when I hover the mouse and I try to click them or I try to click the menu, as you can see, this one appears in my address bar. So let me paste this into a notepad so that everybody can see what this URL contains. Okay? So ito siya. So notice nyo, uh, focus lang tayo sa session 4 muna, assuming natin na session 4 tayo. So notice nyo, dashboard.php, then meron tayong parameter like page equals product list. So dapat, pag ito yung lumabas sa parameter natin sa address bar, dapat instead of dashboard, display natin yung product list. So to do that, we need to modify our code. So let us try to check whether those parameter or the parameter page is present. So dito na papasok yung condition statement. Is set, okay, request, you can use get, okay, you can use get. Then, page is, request page is present in the address bar and, of course, yung request ba, ang laman niya is equal to product list If yes, we will be including product list instead of dashboard. So, as you notice, I'm putting some else here so that in case na walang na-set na page, i-default niyang i-display sa dashboard. 'Di ba? So, let us try to utilize that. Okay? So, refresh na page. Okay. I forgot to rename if I'm not mistaken. Okay. No such file, product list. So, product list. Underscore. Sorry. This is supposed to be underscore. Always follow the naming uh, file name of your document. So, now, let us try. Okay, so now, ayan, product na siya. Balik tayo sa dashboard. Dashboard, remove natin to. Okay, so assuming dashboard lang siya. What if we go to products? As you can see, nagpalit na yung content, pero yung ating data dito is the same pa rin. Nasa dashboard pa rin tayo, nagpalit lang siya ng content. That's what you call dynamic page. So, ngayon, ang focus ko na lang in my program, kung gusto ko mag-display ng product, hindi na ako magpupunta ng product.php. Instead, dito na ako sa uh, portion ng file ng product list. So, may focus na ako sa data. Hindi ko na masyadong concern yung head, title. So, dito na lang ako mag-focus. Pero syempre, there are several adjustments that you need to consider. Number one, adjustment is, aside from the content, this should be selected instead of dashboard. Kasi dito, naka-active yung dashboard instead na product. So, to do that, we can copy. Okay. Our focus naman today is side menu. So, dapat, pagka yung dashboard ang selected, dapat active siya. Otherwise, ang active dapat ay si product. So, to do that, you need to create condition. Okay? So, let me create a condition. Okay? So, let's create a condition here. Ito na lang siguro. Okay? So, PHP. Or you can just put them here. So, later i-transfer natin. So, if request page and request page is equal to product list. Okay. Therefore, let's create a variable active page equals blank, something like that, null. So, active page will be, oops, product. Okay. List. Something like that. Okay. Now, so default natin siya sa dashboard na lang para ano. Okay. So, dito tayo magtatanong. Okay. So, replace natin to. So, gawa tayo ng PHP. Okay. Okay. So, if active page equals dashboard, something like that. Okay. Or, you can do some, are you familiar with ternary operator? Yung one line na if else. Okay. Meron tayong one line na if else eh. So, echo, okay, echo, then question mark, active. Okay. Otherwise, blank, something like that. So that is ternary operator, meaning if active page is dashboard, pag true siya, magpiprint siya ng, kasi ipiprint niya echo yun eh. Ipiprint niya active, otherwise ipiprint siya ng blank. So copy paste natin to. Okay. And then, lagay natin dito. Kung siya naman ay product list, something like that. Or all about products na lang. Products. Okay. Para hindi nakakalito. Products instead of product list. Okay. Now, let's test if this is dynamically changing. By the way, I'm going to change the menu from the top instead of, ano ba yun? Instead of, ano ba yung side menu? Okay, so this one would be, kung dashboard siya, papalitan natin ng dashboard lang kasi naka-default naman siya. Dashboard.php. Okay, oops, meron na pala. Okay, so double check natin, implementation, refresh. Okay. Product list, let's try. Hindi siya nag-activate. As you notice,
Sir, yung default active page mo ata, sir, mali po yung spelling.
sige, sige. Thank you. Default. Spelling. Spelling. Okay, kaya naman pala. Okay, dashboard. Thank you, Gerald. Okay. So, refresh. Okay, wala pa rin. Dashboard muna tayo. Include side menu. What happened to this one? Example. Hindi daw ma-include yung side menu. Baka spelling uli. Let's locate side menu.
Naka-site, sir, dapat side. Sa baba mo, sir, yung sa else.
Which part?
Ay, site.
Site siya. Di ba site?
Site na lang.
Site dashboard na. Hindi yung menu, hindi nagdi-display yung ano. Hindi nagdi-display. This one. Line free. Sa side menu, side menu siya. Meron tayong error sa side menu. Side menu, line free. This one. If request. Sorry.
Reset, sir.
Reset. Okay. Sino to? Si Alan?
Opo.
Ginawa na natin to eh. Doon sa project mo. Okay. Sige, try natin. Okay, so dashboard siya, di ba? Products, dapat ito yung mag-active. Okay, so in this case, hindi siya nangyari. Let's try. Let's check what happened. Product. So kung product list siya, request page, product list. So dito, pag-check natin, product lang, hindi product. Sorry, mali na naman tayo sa criteria. Okay, so notice nyo, hindi pa rin echo active. So, active page. So, ibig sabihin hindi siya dumaan dito. Okay, echo natin to check. Let's try echoing it to check. Okay, echo natin siya para ma-check natin. Kasi, let's say, display natin siya dito. Okay, ganyan. Display natin. Equals. Para ma-check lang natin yung laman. Kasi kung dito ko siya ilalagay sa taas, hindi natin siya makikita agad. So, itabi lang natin. So, the purpose of this is to debugging. Product list naman siya. So, ano kaya nangyari? Product list naman siya. So, ibig sabihin, we can access active page equals ba siya sa product? Okay. Equals ba siya sa product? Yes. Now, let's try to display the value of active page so that we can determine kung talagang product ang lumalabas. Active page. Sige, let's try. Hindi talaga. Ano lumabas? Product. Tama man. Product, product. Okay, active. Now, I need to view source para ma-check natin sa side menu. Saan na ba yun? Side menu. Active naman siya. Oh, active siya, di ba? Active pero hindi nagpapalit ng color. Why is that? Active siya kaso hindi nagpapalit ng color. Check natin sa dashboard. Tingnan natin kung ano nangyari. Okay. Kung bakit sa dashboard okay, nav-link active. Okay naman siya. Okay. Compare natin doon sa okay. Logical error siya. Baka ito yung reason kung bakit. Kasi hindi siya yung current. Okay, so let me modify our code. Okay. So that we can reflect the current. So, lagay uli natin to. If echo, ganyan. Malay nyo, ito laging rason. 'Di ba? So, display natin siya dito. Yan. Okay. Then, we will duplicate this one. So, kung hindi masyadong naintindihan, pwede kayong maggamit ng mic to let me explain again kung anong ginagawa ko rito. Kasi alam nyo, baka nalilimot din ako minsan na ang kaharap ko or kausap ko ay mga estudyante. Kaya, please, provide me some feedback. Okay, dashboard. This one is product. Product. Okay. Okay, so now let's try to check. Wala pa rin. Bakit kaya? Active na siya, pero okay. Gets ko na. Gets ko na. Gets ko na. Mali yung location ng pinaglagyan ko nito. Sorry. Okay. Gets ko na. Dapat nandito siya. Sorry man. Sorry na.
Sa baba, sir.
Sorry na. Sorry. Okay, sige. Ngayon, meron akong maling oops, di ko ata na-close. Ano ba? Kasi ito. Okay, tapos hindi ko ata na-close yung PHP ko. Ayun, hindi ko na-close. Tama, no? Hindi ko na-close. Tama ba? Ano nangyari? Okay, double check
Sa may
natin.
question mark. Sa may question mark po siguro, sir.
Okay. Ito
Yung
kasi,
pangalawa, sir. Yan.
ito hindi ko siya na-close, no? Ayan. Okay. Thank you for this one. Okay na, no? Ayan. Okay, so let's try. Ayan. So, okay na siya, no? So, dashboard, product. And that's what you call dynamic. Okay, dynamic page na siya. Why dynamic? Because I'm using single page, but I am only replacing these contents if ever the user requested different pages. Okay, so ganyan na siya. Okay, so now I have another page here. So, yung new. So, again, consistent pa rin yung top. 'Di ba? Consistent pa rin siya. But then, nagbabago ulit ito. So, let's uh, grab that particular form there. Okay. So let us uh, copy the form. So, eto na siya, 'di ba? This one and this one. So, let's call this product form. Copy lang pala, sorry. So, I will be creating a new file again in my directory. Then I will call it product form. So, product or add na lang or product add dot php, something like that. Okay, so instead of those entire content, I just use this one. Oops. Let me tab this one. Okay. Now, let's go back to the product list. Okay. The purpose of navigating to this content is that nandito kasi yung form. Okay. So, ang gagawin natin, call natin uli yung dashboard.php. Of course, nasa page pa rin tayo ng product list or product. Pwede man, ano na lang, page new product na lang or product form new. So, new product. Hirap pumili ng data. Okay. New product. So, if this is the case, we will be going back again to the dashboard and add another condition. So, copy and of course, paste. Okay. So, this one, if ever we have a page called new product, yeah, new product. Okay. Meaning we need to display the form. So, product add.php. Okay, so let's try. Okay. So let's go back to the dashboard. Okay, dashboard again. Then product and new product. Okay, ayan na siya. But notice dashboard is selected. So let us add condition sa side menu to still activate the product menu if ever the active page is the same section ng product. Okay. So, lagay tayo ng end. Tapos ito, gawin nating or. Okay. Gawin natin tong or. So, this one, or. Kasi it's expected na this one is required. Dapat may page ka makita. And dapat either product list siya or new product. Okay. So, page. Copy. So, our query is new product. New product. New product. Okay, so that's how you make page dynamic. Okay, let's try. Yeah, product pa rin siya, ano. Okay, so let's save. Then, let's try. So, let's go back to the dashboard, products, okay. Then, new, okay na siya. Ayan na siya. Okay, so now, we are finished making our page dynamic. Okay, so our next topic is, by the way, do you have any question? Do you have any question? So, this one is check. Okay. Question so far? Wala. Okay.
Wala naman po ata,
Wala
sir.
naman. Okay, so develop database. So let's develop a database. So make sure when you develop database for your web application, your XAMPP, make sure the MySQL action button is running. So dapat status na stop kasi nga running siya. And since you are already familiar with SQL Yog, so you need to download SQL Yog Community Edition. The reason why is that our portable version is not actually compatible with Windows 10 anymore. So therefore, you need to download the Community Edition. So just go to Google and search SQL Yog Community. SQL Yog, it's free. Community. Okay. Then install nyo na lang. So, yeah. Meron ditong GitHub. Install nyo lang yung app. May version dyan. Kung anong version man yun. And install nyo na lang. Okay. So,
Magsa-sign up ka pa dyan, sir?
hindi na. Hindi na ako nag-sign up. Just download. Download lang. Ayan na ho. Download lang. Ayan na ho. Download. Okay. So, I'm not sure kung may sign in kasi ako hindi na ako nag-sign in dyan. But anyway, so gawa tayo ng database. So, connect tayo. Okay. By default, MySQL has localhost. So, localhost siya, root. Okay, walang password. So, connect mo lang. Okay, so gagawa ako ng database ko. So, ignore nyo lang yung mga nakikita nyo database dyan ha. So, create database. Let's say, product MGT, management. Okay, create. Now, to let me focus on this database, I will sign out muna and go back logging in. And then I will change the databases to project management so that the only database that you are going to view in your SQL log is the database product management. Okay, so tables. Basically, wala pa siya. So, let's create a table. So, create new table. Let's name it products. Okay, products. Okay, then of course, meron tayong product code, varchar, assuming na ang product code niya is parang barcode, ano. So, length, let's say 20. Okay, we can make it as primary key. So, comment, so this would be barcode. Okay, so barcode niya. And of course, the product name. Okay, name of the product. So, varchar, let's say 150 characters. Okay, comment, product, name, and description. Okay, varchar. So, gawin natin 255. Kung medyo malaki, gamitin nyo text para paragraph. Okay. So, product, description. Okay. And of course, price ng product. So, gawin natin double. Okay. So, product price. Product price. Or you can use decimal if you want. Kasi ano naman yan, monetary price or monetary data. And stocks. Kunwari may stocks tayo. And integer. Okay, wala namang 1.5 na ano ha, bote ng Coke, di ba? And what I mean is, hahatiin mo yung literal na bote. So, quantity, single quantity yon. So, let's say, digits, length, let's say mga, paano ba? Ilang, ano, siguro mga 6 digits. Di ba? Okay. Then, quantity. Okay, save. So, do you want to create another? No. Okay. So, now, we have our product table here. Ayan. So, try natin mag-add. Let's say, 1111. Product name, let's say, Lucky Me. Pansit, Canton. Canton. Description, Lucky Me, Pansit, Canton, Spicy. Spicy. Okay, price, let's say 10.50. Stocks, let's say we have 100 items of Lucky Me Pansit Canton. Another 222. This is just an example ha. Let's say, ano pa ba? Example, product. Ano ba nilagay ko sample doon? Sa products. Okay, let's say organic coconut aminos. Hindi ko alam kung ano to, but product siya. Okay, description. Ano ba yung price niya? 355. 355. Let's say 100 din yung stocks. Okay, so now we have initial data. So the purpose of initial data is for us to be able to retrieve this one later on in our table. Okay. So, we have already done with objective number 2. Number 3 is to establish connection. So, how do we do that? Okay. If you try to browse the documentation of Double Tree Schools, it contains documentation on how to connect with your database. Okay. So, how do we do that? Okay. First, we must identify in your database, there is a credential that needs to be satisfied. For example, once we connect our SQL log application or application, there are actually 4 criteria. The first one, okay, the first one is the host. Okay. Number 2 is the username of the database. Number 3 is the password. And number 3 is the database name. Okay, database name. So in this case, since ang ating database ay located sa local PC, so you need to use localhost. Okay? But if your PC is located somewhere else, let's say another PC in a network, you need to type the IP address of that PC. Okay? So, yun. Username, root, password, I think wala tayong password. So, database name, so, product, and GT. Okay? Now, when you connect to a database, there are actually two-way or two particular uh, uh, we call that way of connecting. So we have a MySQL I, okay, meaning ng I is improve. Okay, improve siya, improve version. Kasi nga, madalas yung mga lumang version ng MySQL connection or code na ginagamit sa PHP is madali na siyang ma-hack ngayon. And uh, in-improve na yung functionality para hindi na siya prone sa mga errors, something like that, at compatible na sa mga system. Another is using PDO. PDO means PHP Data Objects. So, parang object-oriented base siya ng pag-access ng data. So, kailan mo gagamitin si MySQL? Pag MySQL ang database mo dapat, your DB must be MySQL, of course. Pero si PDO, ito yung maganda sa kanya. If your system requires you to access multiple databases, si PDO works on 12 different DB system like Oracle, something like that. So maybe you are uh, creating an application that can be used to connect with SQLite, 'di ba? Or Oracle or SQL Server, you can use PDO. Okay? And of course, both of them is object-oriented based, but MySQL also offers procedural. Okay, procedural siya. More on procedural kasi to, not object-oriented. Okay, unlike PDO, ano siya, pwedeng object-oriented, pwedeng, so ito ay OOP type, pwedeng OOP, pwede siyang procedural. Okay, this one is pure OOP siya. Object-oriented. Okay? Now, so how do we connect to a database? Okay, so how can we do that? So first, we must create a code to connect with our database. So our focus right now is in our product list. Kasi siya yung may data di ba? So, let us try to write a line that allows us to connect with our database. So, PHP, something like that. Okay. So, let us establish. Gawa muna tayo ng MySQLi. MySQLi. Connection. So, in this case, gawa tayo ng procedural. Okay. Procedural muna para tawag natin dito. Para ma-distinguish natin, 'di ba? Kung ano yung difference nung dalawa. Okay? Okay. So now, let's say connection, 'di ba? So equals, hindi ko pala nalagay sa PowerPoint Hindi ko na ilagay sa PowerPoint yung syntax. Ano po? So first, you need to create a variable that will handle connection. Okay? So in order to uh, uh, manipulate the data, there should be a line that allows us to connect with our database. So to do that, you need to uh, create line like mysqli underscore connect. Okay, connect. Okay. So part ng parameter niya is ito. You need to type the host, comma, followed by the user, followed by password ng database, password, and followed by database. Okay? Something like that. Okay? So that's how you establish connection in a procedural way. So let us define a constant variable so that we can easily modify it later. So let's say uh, host local host. Okay? So this is a constant variable. So therefore this one palitan na natin siya ng host. Okay? Copy. Okay. Bakit may error to? Duplicate. Yeah, duplicate talaga siya. Duplicate user root. Okay. And let's say password. Password. Wala. Kasi wala naman tayong password. Then db product mgt. Okay. So user. Kasi mas convenient i-manage yung mga connection pagka naka-constant ka. Para in case nagpalit kayo ng host, dito na lang kayo magpapalit. Excuse me. Okay. Ngayon, check natin. If not connection, ibig sabihin hindi tayo nakapag-establish ng connection. So, pwede tayo mag-display echo. Let's say, gawa tayo ng H1. Unable to establish connection with database. Else, echo H1 close. Okay. Copy natin. Connection established. Yan. Yun na lang. Okay, so let's try. So, refresh natin yung page. Let's see. Ayan, connection established. Ibig sabihin, nakakonect na tayo sa database. Ngayon, malian natin yung kanyang malian natin yung credential. Ayan. So, try lang natin. Okay, yan. Unable to establish connection. So, error is access denied, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's how you establish connection with your database. Okay, so this is just a condition that allows me to check whether connection to database is successful or not. Sometimes, ang ginagawa namin dito, nire-redirect namin siya sa 404 error or something error page that would inform the user properly. Kasi pangit naman kung halimbawa, when you do this, tapos lalabas doon sa page mo, ganito, di malalaman niya na ang user mo o kaya host mo, localhost, tapos ganyan, parang it's not, not properly, kumbaga, hindi proper ang pag-display mo ng mga error sa program mo. So, we need to create a page wherein we can display the error properly. Okay, so naka-establish na tayo. So, therefore, okay na ako, no? Okay na. We can allow the application to stop executing other script. So, just put exit so that when the user encounters error in the database, it will not continue to the next script. Okay, so let's try. Malian natin siya. Okay, so andyan na siya. So hindi na na-continue yung pag-display. Okay? So, okay. Now, how do we perform? So this is procedural. Procedural. Okay, so how do we perform object-oriented? Okay, so anong pinagkaiba ng object-oriented? Actually, wala naman pinagkaiba. Yung procedure lang ng pag-connect ay object-oriented. So, let's say, MySQLi. So, this is the name of my, let's say connection pa rin. Connection, something like that. Then, new MySQLi. Something like that. Of course, kailangan pa rin natin ng ito. Ayan. So, that is object-oriented. Anong pinagkaiba ng object-oriented? Ito, direkta mong ina-access yung function na connect. This one, nagki-create ka ng instance ng class ng MySQLi. That's why object-oriented siya. Mayroong new object na tinatawag. From one object, this is your object, nag-create ka ng bagong object, number 2. Ito yung ginagamit mo. Okay, ito yung template mo. If you are familiar with object-oriented programming, yan yung concept niya. Okay? So, yun. Okay, so for now, let us use procedural muna. Okay? Okay. Now, next task. Ayan, nakapag-establish na tayo ng connection. Kaya lang, I think, majority kasi sa page natin, gagamitin natin to, di ba? We will be using this one, di ba? So, how about removing this one? Okay. Kasi magagamit natin siya sa ibang part ng page natin. So, ayaw natin na ulit-ulitin siya, di ba? So, ang gagawin natin, we'll be create an include file, document or include file again. We call that connection. Okay, .php. Okay, let me rename it again to small case. Okay, connection. So, instead of, and then i-call na lang natin siya. Ayan, okay. So, yun. So, mag-exit siya pag hindi siya nakapag-connect. So, ngayon, gagawin natin sa dashboard, sa product list, mag-i-include tayo ngayon. So, include, okay, and then, the includes folder, / connection, .php, or config.php. Pwede naman ganun. Okay? Ngayon, try natin if we can successfully integrate that includes. Okay, meron pa rin siya. So, ngayon, what's next? Okay, ano nang sunod? After that, we can, since naka-establish na tayo ng connection, we can create now a query. So, query, okay. For query, dito na papasok yung select. Okay, paano ba yun? Select is a statement in MySQL that allows you to retrieve data coming from table. So, usually, yun yung ginagawa natin. Select, let's say, asterisk from the table name, products, which means you are selecting all the columns from your table. So, when you execute this one, right-click, execute query, syempre, expect nyo, lalabas na yung data na to. Diba? Or you can specify column, like code, diba? Keyword pala siya rito. Code, ano pa ba? Name, price, something like that. So, ibig sabihin, 3 columns lang ang ini-expect mo sa result. So, F9 for run. So, that's what you call query. In our case, we will be using the asterisk to display everything. So, copy and paste. Okay, so let me arrange this one. So cut natin to. Mali yung pagkaka-paste to. Ayan. Okay, so i-continue na lang natin yung string na kagaya ng ganito. Okay, so ngayon, what will be the next step? Okay, so the next step is to execute that query. So when you execute that query, what we will be doing is to create a result. Diba? Kasi, niretrieve mo siya, so therefore, may variable dapat na tatanggap ng result. Diba? So, my SQLi underscore query. Ibig sabihin, mag-execute ka ng query. Anong query execute mo? Yung laman ng query na to. Okay. Oops. Mali. Ganyan. Diba? Or, I'm just, tawag nito, it's just using the practice of declaring variable every time. Diba? Kasi pag walang variable, pwede naman ganito. So, copy mo to, paste mo dito, pwede naman. So, you can use exactly like this one. But I think it's good practice in programming to use variable because whenever you want to modify this one, all you have to do is focus on this one, not on this one. Sometimes it avoid confusion. Okay? So, I have an error here. Asterisk from, wala naman What happened to this one? Okay na. Ayan. Inaano lang tayo. Masyadong may issue tong IDE na to. So, okay. After doing that, what's next? What's next after doing that? Of course, you need to check. Okay. If result MySQL I by the way, kulang to kasi hindi pala natin ginamit yung kulang ako. If I'm not mistaken, kulang ako ng connection. Sorry man. Yeah, nakalimutan ko. Yan, okay na siya. MySQL I nam rows. Okay? Ibig sabihin, bibilangin natin kung ilan ang na-retrieve na record. By the way, before we do that, let us test kung may na-retrieve ba talaga siyang record. So, to do that, let's call var dump. Oops. Var dump. Okay? Ibig sabihin, i-display natin yung contents niya. Okay? So, let's try. Refresh. Ayan, nandiyan na siya. Object, current ID, int. Di ba meron na? Ayan, meron na siya. So, meron tayong dalawang record. Kaso, hindi na di-display. But, nakaano kasi siya. Object pa siya. So, what we'll doing now is to check. Okay. If MySQLi num rows result, diba, is greater than 0, meaning meron tayong record. Okay, else wala tayong record, something like that. So echo no record found. Okay, so echo record found, something like that. Just focus on identifying if we can truly determine if we have a record or not. Oops, I have an error here. No record. Parang exclamation. Okay. Okay. Record found. So, meaning, pwede siya. Okay. So, ngayon, after doing that, the purpose of doing that condition is for me to be able to determine if we have record aside from using bar dump. So, ngayon, how do we process the retrieve record? So, to do that, let's say row. Gagawa tayo ng row. In C#, ang tawag na is parang record set, di ba? Parang when you retrieve the data coming from the ang ginagamit natin madalas is ano bang ginagamit natin pag nag-retrieve tayo sa C# ng record? Data reader ba 'yun? Yung parang ganun. So, in MySQLi naka-ilang rows na naman. Fetch array. Okay. Para ma-convert natin sa array yung ating record result. Okay? Ganyan. Okay. Fetch. Tayo ma-fetch. Okay. Wait lang ah. Check ko yung documentation. Baka deprecated na yung ano. Deprecated na. Okay, result MySQL ay may ano pa pala siya. Yung parang ano niya, conversion. So array, kulang ko ng A. Ayan. Okay. So try natin walang okay, mali lang pala ako ng A. Okay, so now ang gagawin natin, var dump ulit tayo. Var dump. Check natin kung na-convert na sa array at nakikita na natin yung record, row. Or gawin natin rows. Rows. Okay, rows. Okay, so now display natin siya. So I'm doing it step by step ah. So if you have question, I am going to look for ano. Okay, nag-excuse mga ka-Metro Health pa. Okay lang po. Recorded naman to. So now, I will be refreshing the page. Ayun, nandiyan na siya. Lucky Me Pancit Canton. Ayan siya. Spicy. Kulang ko ng A. Lahat ba to Pancit Canton? Asan yung iba? Okay. So, ayan na siya, di ba? So, at least, meron na tayo. Bakit puro to Pancit Canton? Hindi ba may record pa tayo na iba? I think, organic. Asan yung organic? Nawawala yung organic ah. Okay. So, but anyway, at least we can figure out that this one is correct. Pwede tayo magano. To print all the arrays or the contents, we can use, ano ba yun? Print R. Okay, print R. Print R means you are printing all the contents of the array. Aside from bar dump. Ayan, so Pancit Canton, laki may Pancit Canton talaga ang nadi-display niya. I don't know why, walang number 2. But anyway, okay. Let's say, so how do we do that? How do we display that into our table? So to do that, let me remove this one and ano nangyari? Okay, nawala ako ah. Okay na ba? Okay na? Reply kayo ah. Okay na ba?
Opo.
Okay na? Okay. So ngayon, I'm going to change the location of this kasi dapat makita natin siya sa table, di ba? So to do that, this is the header part of my table. So, ito dapat yung nalalagyan natin ng record, correct? So, para magawa natin siya, tatanggalin ko na yung ibang record kasi nga, static siya. So, para maging dynamic siya, natanggalin na natin siya. So, ngayon, insert natin siya sa table body. Okay, the purpose of doing that, it's because doon sa ating page, ito yung lalagyan natin ng record, di ba? Hindi kasama yung header. So, dapat maglo-loop tayo doon sa record ng array natin para palitan to ng mga data na galing sa database. So, let's try. Okay? So, nakalimutan ko yung PHP script. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Paste. Okay. So, ngayon, pag walang record, echo lang natin. Echo. Mamaya display natin yung record tr. So, display tayo ng table na blanco, 'di ba? So tr, kahit isang column lang, display tayo. Since walang record, lagay lang natin. Okay. Oops. tr. So no record. Okay, no records yet. Okay. Okay, something like that. So, kung may record na siya, so ang gagawin natin is maglo-loop dapat tayo doon sa ating array na mariretrieve. So, lahat ng data sa array, ilulup natin. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng laman nito, ipapasok natin sa loob ng loop. Okay? Para, kung ilan man yung record ang ma-retrieve niya, yun din yung ipapasok niya sa table row. So, notice nyo, hindi sa supported. So, para hindi na ako maghirap. Para hindi na ako mahirapan maglagay ng echo, 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 i-close ko na lang to. So, I will be closing this one. Okay. And, of course, reopening again to the PHP script. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, this one is part of my loop. And this one is the opening. Okay. Or you can use this one. And while. Diba? Something like that. Okay. Para hindi kayo nalilito sa curly brace. Okay. So, yan. So, let's try. So, we have 2 records in our table. So, expecting that we can view 2 rows in our table instead of 3. Diba? So, refresh. Ayan. So, notice yun, naulit yung row natin na ginawa. So, papalitan na natin to ng records natin. Okay? So, to do that, you need to get the variable rows and followed by, of course, display like that. Shortcut ng echo. And how do we address an array? Like that. And code. This is the column name of the table. Diba? This one. Kung babalikan natin, code. So, name, description. So, let us copy this one. Ano ba nakalagay? Name lang ano, wala nang description. So, anyway, remove na lang natin description. Name. This one is the price. This one is the stocks. Let's double check the column name. Stocks. Okay, so now, let's try. Okay, yan na siya, di ba? So, Lucky Me Pancit Canton, 100 ang stock. So, palitan natin yan sa table. Palitan natin to ng, let's say, 500. Ayan. Refresh. Ayan. Wala. Hindi na bago. Save natin. Hindi na save. Refresh. Ayan, sa 500. Tama siya, di ba? So, this one is incrementing numbers. So, all you have to do is to create a variable for that. Okay, let's say, for example, variable I equals 1. Okay, so, gawin natin dito, display natin yung laman ng variable na I. Letter I. Siyempre, after niya ma-execute, mag-a-add tayo ng isa sa laman ng I. So, I++. Okay? So, now, let's try. So, we're expecting that 1, 2. Ayan. So, I have now incrementation. So, now, that's how you display product. Okay? Or how you display records. Okay? So, whenever you have several data on your database, let's say, for example, 333, let's say, safeguard. Okay. Soap. Something like that. And let's say price is 23.56 pesos and 100. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so nandiyan na siya. Safeguard soap. 24, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, to properly display our text here, so all you have to do is to use number format. So, number format. Tama ba? Yeah, number format. So, gawa tayo ng dalawang decimal, comma, 2 decimals. Okay? So, yun. So, let's try. Ayan. Okay na siya, no? So, yun. Okay, so now, that's how you display. Ganun lang kasimple. So let us review. So first, you must establish a connection. Okay? So I define a I define a constant variable so that whenever I need to change the host name or the database, etc., my focus of attention is in the connection.php file. So this one, establish connection with your database. So the parameters are, or the needed arguments for connection are host, user, password, and the database name. And of course, we will be using a condition to inform the user if the connection to the database is successful or not. If not, we will be exiting the application or stop rendering the file. Okay, in your product list, we have a table that shows list. Now, in order to display the products, you need to create a query. First, you must establish connection. Number two, write a query in order for you to command the database what data should be returned. So in this case, all the columns from products table. And in order to execute that query, you need to call the MySQLi underscore query. And it requires the connection, the active connection, and the query that the PHP script needs to execute into your database. And once it executes, it expects the result coming from the database. So it will be stored here as object. So in order to uh, uh, display the products to different columns, you need to call MySQL underscore fetch array. Actually, meron tayong tatlo. Fetch array, fetch object, ano pa ba yung isa? Hanapin ko isa. Uh,
Fetch.
associate, yeah. Fetch associate or fetch assoc, ganun. Okay, so that's the three. Okay, so I think most common kasi is fetch array. Okay, you can also use for each if you want. For each, I think this is more something like that. Okay, kasi pag na-array na siya, saka mo gagamitin yung for each. But I think most commonly is while loop. Okay. Okay, so now let's proceed to our slide. Okay, distinguished, nagawa na natin yung difference. Okay, nagawa na natin yung read. Nagawa na natin yung retrieve. Okay, now let us perform an operation. How do we add a record? Okay, so to do that, let us try to run our program first to define the logic of the operation. So, you need to click the new product, then you need to add the product code and save, something like that, di ba? Okay, so let's try. Okay. Okay, so let's try. Since we already redirected from the form, our next focus is the form itself. So, products add. Okay, so now, let's create a method of what method should this form perform. So, let's say post. Okay, then action. Okay, so action, let's say add product dot php. Okay, or we just parang gawan na lang tayo ng general file for performing product management. So let's say product actions. Okay, so anyway, depende sa inyo kung anong gusto yung file name. Okay, okay, so good. Or process product na lang. Process. Nakakalito. Ang gulo kausap ni Sir. Okay, so yun. Next, of course, aside from that, we need to make sure that our text box here has a name so that we can get the data from it. So name, let's say, code. Diba? So let's copy this one. Okay. This one is the description. I think, kailangan ba natin yung description? Kasi hindi natin sa display kanina. Siguro lagyan na natin para at least Okay. Description. Okay, description, shortcut natin. This one, product code, price. Ba't iba na to? Dapat ito product name. Wag na tayo maglagay ng name. Wag na tayo maglagay ng description siguro. Discard nyo na yung description.
Okay.
Price, stock. Hello, okay lang yung audio ko? Price. Okay lang ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for the response. Actually, nahanap ko yung hinahanap ko yung kung baka may comment. Wala naman. Okay, wala naman so far. Okay, so let's go back to the code. Okay, so now, may price na ako. Ito, pangalanan ko din yung stocks. Okay, stocks. Okay. And then, of course, we have the submit. Okay, so whenever I submit this form, it will be transfer the data into process.php file. So I'm going to create a file here. Okay, right click, new file. So process.php. So every action that is being performed on that form will be transferred here. So, okay. So ngayon, balikan natin yung form natin. Okay. So pangalanan natin yung submit natin ng new. Okay. Name equals new or add new. Okay. So this is the criteria that I will be identifying if ever I need to add new, delete, or and so on. So process products, then I'm going to write a condition. So if set request and new product, okay. So naset ba siya? Okay. So try nating i-var dump, yung mga sinabit natin na data para make sure na pagka merong tayong in-add new, lalabas yung mga data. So request. Okay. Okay. So let us try to check. So refresh natin siya. Okay, product ko, let's say 444. Name, let's say Royal 1.5. Magkano price nun? Let's say 75. Sa amin 75 eh. Tama ba? 75. Stocks 100. Then submit. Okay, walang lumabas sa ating process. Okay, let's check what happened. Double check natin kung meron bang mga pangalan. Okay. Process action, process products. Double check natin yung file name. Process product. Okay naman. Next. Name. Add new. Tama ba yung ni-receive natin na data sa code? Mali na naman. Okay, add new pala. Sorry man. Okay, that's why walang lumalabas. Okay, ulit. Okay, so for let's say Royal 1.5, price let's say 75.50, stocks 50. Save. Okay, so now as you can see, the file process product.php retrieves or receives the submitted data coming from the form. So now we need to save them. Okay? So ito yung easiest part. Meron na tayong connection, di ba? So we need to include it na lang. So include, okay, includes, okay, connection.php. Kasi nagko-connect tayo. So since may connection na tayo, ang pwede nating gawin muna is to, mamaya na tayo mag-form validation is to add the data. So what we'll be doing right now is to perform a query. So query, Actually, parehas lang nung ginawa natin sa product list. Okay, gagawin natin to. Yan, copy-paste natin. Copy. Product. Process. Okay.
So, blanco pa yan.
Okay. So,
Pag nag-start na yung class na. So, ngayon, para magturuan ko yung kung paano gamitin yung model, magsiset yung CCDA ng today.
So, instead of select, we'll be performing insert into. Insert into, oops, into products. So, we need to define anong mga fields ang lalagyan natin ng data. So, code, name, ano pa ba? Aside from name, we have the price, and we have the stocks. If I'm not mistaken, yan yung hinahanap natin sa table natin. So, code, name, price, stocks. Okay, wala tayong ibang text box for description there. And then, followed by values. Ibig sabihin, we will be defining the values for each column. Diba? So, yun. Okay. Ngayon, what we'll be doing is to perform identifying the variables. Okay, so how do we do that? We need to write the request variable followed by the way, I'm using double quotes para ma-display natin yung laman ng request, di ba? So, code. Okay, comma. Kasi ang difference ng double quote sa single quote, if I'm not mistaken, pag single quote, kung anong laman ng variable, anong laman ng variable, ma-ignore yun. Ang makikita is yung variable mismo. Pag double quote, laman ng variable, di ba? So, try natin. Echo, later na lang. Echo na lang natin mamaya. Echo, okay na to. Unknown. Okay. Or pwede naman, gawa tayo ng variable. Let's say, code equals para madali para sa ating mag-identify. Okay, something like that. Name equals name. Price equals price. Double check natin yung data later. And stocks equals stocks. Something like that. Okay? Now, palitan natin yung code. So, usually, integer ito. So, no need for quotation. While yung name, since siya ay string or varchar, kailangan natin maglagay ng double quotation mark. That's the syntax of inserting strings in databases. Then price, since hindi naman siya string, so as is lang. And then stocks. Okay. So yun. So which means the insertion of data per column is ascending or in order. Kasi nga the code, this one, the name, the price, and the stock. Something like that. Okay. So before we perform a query, let's try displaying the contents of this query so that we can check if we have a right syntax or not. Okay, saan na ba yun? Oops, hindi ito. Yung isa. Nawawala. Okay, so now, resend. Ayan, so notice nyo, insert into products, code, name, 444, Royal 1.5, 75, 50, di ba? So, I think that's a correct query, di ba? Okay. So now, sometimes what I did is, I try to copy this one and execute that manually into my database to check whether the code that I written is correctly written or not. So F9, ayun, inserted, di ba? So ibig sabihin, once the code that we created or written is executed into PHP script, successful siya. So let me remove this one since successful naman siya. Okay. Okay, so now let us nangyari dito. Okay, so let's continue our program. Ayan. So okay naman siya. Perfectly fine. Okay, so now query siya. So check natin if not, kasi lalabas siya ng true or false. If not, okay. So ang gagawin natin, kailangan i-inform natin yung user na successful or not successful yung pag-add mo, 'di ba? So kung hindi successful, bigyan natin siya ng message. So message, you have or uh, error adding or an error has encountered while adding new product, something like that. So otherwise, message ulit tayo, new product successfully added, something like that. Okay, so now kung successfully added siya, we will redirect to the product list. So dashboard.php page, di ba? Products. Tingnan natin kung tama yung kinocall ko. Ulitin na lang natin mamaya. Product list. So ito ibabalikan natin. Product list. So copy product list. Okay. Ngayon, para ma-display natin siya, kasi we cannot just transfer variable from one page to another. So the only way is to use session. So gawa tayo. So ngayon maintindihan nyo na kung bakit gumagamit tayo ng session. Session start. Okay. Ayan. Okay. Ngayon, gawin natin, gawa tayo ng session variable. Session. Okay. Message. Or gawin natin success. Okay. Equals message. We will do the same with error, di ba? So error. Okay, something like that. So now, I will be implementing parang magandang way para ma-display yung message dito. So to do that, I need to go back to Bootstrap documentation to identify proper displaying of alert, something like that. Okay, so ang tawag namin is alert. So para may proper messaging tayo, kasi pangit naman puro paragraph. So hanapin ko yung content, components, Alert. Basta namin alert. 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 Wala. Utilities. Alert.
Sa
Nandiyan.
taas po, sir.
Ha?
Components, pinakataas po yung alert.
Components. Alert. Ito na. Ito na pala. Okay, so ngayon, ang gagamitin ko is yung may close button. Okay, may close button. Mamaya, applyan natin siya ng ano. Ito na. Mamaya, applyan natin siya ng, kasi ito may close button eh, ganyan. Pag ganito lang, hindi mo mako-close yan. Unless i-refresh mo. So, kinapi ko siya. So, copy. Okay, so gagawin natin. Doon sa ating product list, insert natin siya before or after nung title. Okay? Ganyan. And of course, instead na warning, success, para kulay green. Para ang lumabas, instead na orange, na-close ko pala, dapat lalabas yung kulay green kagaya nito. So, ang pangalan niya is success. Ayan. So, ayan na siya. So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin dito is we will be starting a session. So, since yung product list kasi nasa loob ng dashboard, so dito ko na lang i-start yung session sa taas. Okay? Para naka-general siya. Session start. Kasi hindi ka pwede mag-duplicate ng session start sa mga files na contained lang doon sa dashboard mo kasi magkakaroon ng error, do-duplicate yon. Okay? So, dito na tayo sa product list. Okay? And then, eto, gagawin natin dito, gagawa tayo ng PHP uli. Okay? So, ngayon, magtatanong tayo. Since start na yung session, may na-set ba na session? Anong pangalan ng session? Success ba yun? Success. Balikan natin. Balikan natin. Yeah, success. Success nga. Na-set ba yung success na session? If yes, okay. Ngayon, ang gagawin natin, ipapasok natin to doon sa loob ng if statement. Ayan. So, PHP. Okay, the purpose of doing this is to make sure that this line here are part of this conditional statement. That's why. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, this one, lalabas lang to kung merong success session kayong nakita. So, instead of this one, palitan natin success. Success. So, palitan natin to ng session message. So, equals, display natin yung session. And then, yung laman ng success session. Diba? So, yun. Okay? Now, so, let's try. Hopefully, walang error. Okay. Okay lang naman magka-error para at least malaman natin. So, 444 Royal 1.5 liters. Let's see, 75.55. Okay. Ano pa ba? Double check natin. Wait lang nakalimutan ko. Saan ba tayo nagre-retrieve? Sa taas. Okay, wala namang problema. Automatic yung lalabas. Then, let's say, 25 pieces lang. So, save. So, after clicking the save, we are expecting that this page will redirect to product list and we will be expecting a message in our page that success siya. So, save. Ayun. Product, di siya
Hindi po yun ang location.
location. Nasaan yung location? Hindi ko ba nalagay?
Ayan.
Tama dashboard
May location po yan, sir, muna. Bago
Ayaw
yung
pala,
dashboard.
location. Ulit. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, alam nyo na. Matanda na. Okay, ulitin natin. Refresh natin to para hindi. Okay, nandiyan na siya actually. Hindi lang sa nire-direct. Okay, so yan. Yun. Okay, ulitin natin. So, products. Let's see, 444. Royal, wala nga, no? Royal 1.5 liters. 75.55 stocks 25. So, tinanggal ko yung record kanina. So, dapat ma-add natin yung fourth record. So, save. Ayun. So, nandyan na siya. Success. Ayan. So, notice nyo, nandyan na rin siya. Okay. So, that's how you add data. Okay. So, now, gawin natin. Try nating mali ang ilagay. Okay. So, close natin to. Ay, wala pala tayong JavaScript kaya hindi siya mako-close. Sorry, man. So, we need to have a JavaScript. Tingnan natin yung documentation for the JavaScript. Kasi may JavaScript dapat siya. So, check natin kung meron tayong jQuery. Yung jQuery na, tawag natin dito, yung JavaScript. Meron naman. Kaso mukhang may hindi tayo na-insert. Okay. Hindi ata proper yung paglagay ko ng balikan ko lang yung ating dashboard kasi hindi proper yung JavaScript ko. Sa footer pala, ito na siya. So, hindi proper yung double check ko lang kung meron akong JavaScript. Wala akong JavaScript kaya pala. So, mag-add ako ng JavaScript. Okay. So, pasensya na, hindi ko na ilagay. Okay, JS. Enter. Ay, sorry. Folder pala. JS. Ba't ayaw? Exist na daw? Ito na pala, meron na. Okay. So, ano hinanap niya? jQuery Slim. Wala akong jQuery Slim. Ito ata, meron ako nito. So, tanggalin natin to. So, ito yung problema ko. jQuery Slim. So, maybe, we could look for this on the internet and download it manually. So, I'm going to do this one. Okay. Hanapin natin. Ito, jQuery Slim. Okay. Download natin siya. Save. Okay. Anyway, hindi nyo na kailangan gawin to kasi pag na-download ko na siya, kasama na siya doon sa ano nyo. Okay. May oras pa ba? Mukhang wala na tayong oras ah. Asan na yun? Where are you na? Asan na yung extract ko kanina? Ito. Okay, so cut natin siya. Lagay natin doon sa directory kung saan nakalagay yung mga JavaScript. Ayan. Paste. Okay. Okay, so ngayon, let's move to this one. Tanggalin natin to. Wala naman tayong vendor doon, so no need to this one. Just JS. To confirm, we have min. So, let's copy the correct file name. So, copy. No need to examine the code behind that file. Importante may JavaScript tayo. Okay. I think okay na. So, let's refresh. Hindi naman agad mawawala yung message natin kasi hindi naman natin in-unset yung session. Hopefully, mag-close na siya. Ayun. Okay. Refresh ulit natin. Nandyan pa rin siya kasi hindi natin in-unset. Dapat, after natin ma-display, unset natin yung session para hindi na natin siya makita ulit. So, dito, lagyan natin dito, unset natin yung specific session. This one. Yan. Para pag-refresh natin, hindi na natin siya makita ulit. So, pagka i-close natin to, refresh natin, wala na siya. Ayan, di ba? So, ngayon, try natin yung error part ng code natin. Kung saan mag-add tayo ng data, lagay natin sa product code, since integer siya, number, di ba? So, kunwari lang to. Save. So, nagkaroon siya ng problema kasi nga, dito, sa ating process, wala naman tayong redirect. So, nagkaroon lang tayo ng error message. So, in order to do that, gawin natin uli ito. Copy. But instead of dashboard, we will go back to the tawag natin dito, yung form. Ito ba yun? Yes. So, balikan ko yung link niya. Saan na ba yun? New product. Saan ka na? Hindi ko mahanap. Ito pala. Sorry, ito pala. Ayan. So, redirect natin. Process. Ayan. Okay. Ngayon, kukopyahin natin yung error sa product list. So, copy natin to. Copy. Ilalagay natin siya doon sa form. Dito natin siya ilalagay. Ayan. Instead na success, error. Okay. Instead na success, error din ito. Parang, ano bang example ng mga messages?
Warning po ata, sir. Warning po.
Warning. Check natin. Itong danger. O, danger na lang. Or, sige, warning na lang para hindi masyadong, So, warning. Okay. So, instead na success, error. Ayan, diba? Okay, so let's try to refresh. Resend. Sorry, success na ilagay ko. Dapat, ano ba? Sorry. Anong nilagay ko doon sa error? Nalimutan ko. Ano ba nilagay ko? An error is encountered. Dapat lumabas yun. An error is encountered. Okay. So, yun. So, kasi hindi na natin siya makikita mamaya. Yan. Yan. Success pa rin. Okay. Kasi hindi tayo nag-unset. Success pala to. Dapat error. Yan. Sorry. An error is occurred. Blah, 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 blah. So, yun ang, yun ang nagiging, parang, tawag natin dito. What you call that? Yun yung magiging situation pag nag-add ka. So, it's either punta ka sa products, mag-add ka ng new, lalabas yun. Okay, so yun. So, that is adding of data. 4:00 na. Okay pa kayo? Kaya pa? Kaya pa? Kaya pa? Gusto ko, isa lang sumasagot gusto ko lahat.
Buhay pa ata, sir.
Okay. Siguro kung gusto nyo, focus tayo sa retrieve, then schedule tayo ng panibago para sa edit saka delete. Okay. So ngayon, ang gawin natin, lagay tayo ng parang search button dito. Try natin maghanap ng form. Baka may search button dito. Examples. Saka na natin yung edit saka delete. Hanap tayo ng search button dito ng mga examples. Okay, ito. Parang may search dito eh. Diba? Search. So, ito gawin natin. Page source. Hanapin natin yung search. Okay, ito. Search. Ayan. Okay. So, add tayo ng search button doon sa ating page. Okay. So, schedule na lang uli ako ng panibagong session for edit saka delete ha. Okay. Teka lang, mukhang kaya naman siguro. Anyway, sige, sige, sige. Nagbago isip ko. Mukhang kaya naman. Okay, balik tayo naman sa product list. Product list. Okay, so paano natin ma-edit yung product? Unang-una, kailangan natin ng criteria. Criteria, sinong ini-edit mo? Okay, so product list, tapos anong action, anong i-edit natin. So ang gagawin natin dito, pagka nag-click tayo ng edit, dapat lalabas dito yung ID na ini-edit mo, tapos lalabas uli yung form. Okay, so try natin. Okay, so product list. So kunin natin tong echo ID. Okay. Ngayon, sa link, ang gagawin natin sa kanya, punta tayo sa, asan yung link ng form kanina? Link ng form, okay. New product. Okay. Okay, instead na new product, edit naman tayo. So, edit, product, magdadagdag tayo ng panibagong parameter or argument. Anong code nung ini-edit mo? Equals, so ang code niya ay yung product na na-select natin. So, kaya what will happen is, pag nirender natin siya, ayan, okay. Pag nag-hover kayo sa mouse, walang lumalabas ah. Na-save ko ba? Saan ko ba nalagay? Ah, sa delete ko ata nalagay. Sorry, sa delete ko nalagay. Hindi sa edit. Ito pala yung edit. Nalito ako. Sorry man. Okay. So, refresh. So, pag nag-click ako nyan, what will happen is, notice nyo, meron ng criteria. Page, edit product, code 111. Okay, so to do that, dapat lumabas dito yung form. So, we're going to go back to the dashboard and make a condition. Okay. So, this one pala is else if. Sorry, else if pala dapat siya. Else if, okay, another else if tayo. Okay. This one is page and edit product. Double check natin. Let's double check kung tama ang criteria nilagay ko. Edit product. Okay, so this time, ang page pala natin ay edit product. Then this time, aside from that, pwede tayong maglagay ng another condition dito. So if, or you can just add this one here. Kailang baka masyadong malaki na. So, tingnan natin, naset ba? Iset, meron ba siyang naset na request? Pero this time, meron ba siyang code? 'Di ba? Code. Kasi doon sa link natin, ang nilagay natin, dapat meron siyang another criteria. Hindi pala sa end, sorry. This would be end. Kasi dalawang variable na siya. Sorry po, end. So, code, meron ba siyang nakita na code? So, kung meron siyang nakitang code, ibig sabihin, pupunta uli siya doon sa product, add, pero, ang magiging criteria na is, may form siya, pero mag-i-edit siya. Okay? So, yun. Okay, so yun. Cut natin siya. Okay, so babalik pa rin siya sa product ad. Gagamitan natin yung form. Okay. So ngayon, what will happen is, try natin. Okay. So products, edit. Okay, so nandiyan na uli siya. So this time, i-retrieve natin yung laman ng code na to. Para yung record na 111, yun yung ma-edit natin. Okay, so to do that, balik tayo sa form, product add. Okay, reuse natin to . So what we'll be doing is, we will create a condition. Okay. So PHP. Okay, we will create a condition here. Okay. Ngayon, tatanungin natin siya, if iset, meron bang request URL na mayroong nakalagay na code. And dapat, yung request na yon, dapat, yung request na yon, meron ba siyang laman? Okay, not equal to blank. So, meaning may laman. Kasi kung may request na code pero walang laman, paano tayo mag-edit nun? So, yun. So, what will happen is, else, balik natin siya doon sa header, location, dashboard, .php, page equals product list. Kasi wala naman siyang ini-edit, bakit siya napunta rito, 'di ba? So that is parang control system ng system niyo. Okay, so kung meron, ano nang gagawin natin? So kokopyahin natin yung code natin dito sa taas. Okay? Asa na ba 'yon? Yung sa product list. Okay? Kokopyahin natin siya. So we'll be copying this one since na-include na siya doon sa page natin. So kopyahin na lang natin 'to. So copy, product add. So mag-execute lang 'to. So will be executed if edit yung ginawa natin. Oops, di na tayo maglagay ng PHP kasi meron na. Okay. Aside from that, we will also modifying this one. This time, we will add a condition where code equals to yung laman ng request code nyo. Kasi parang sinasabi nyo na i-display mo yung product pero ang i-display mo lang yung may equivalent ng code na 111. Parang ganyan. Okay? So, ganyan. Okay? So, before we do that, let us execute or echo the query para gets nyo. Okay? So, let's try. Refresh. Ayan na siya. Select asterisk from products. So, if we try to execute this in our SQL log, tingnan natin kung lalabas talaga yung product number 1. Ayan, di ba? Lumabas siya. So, ang gagawin natin, i-display natin siya doon sa text box. Okay? So, to do that, I'm going to remove this and comment this one. We will copy the procedure that we do in our table a while ago. So, copy. Since meron naman tayong record na makikita, so ito na lang kopyahin natin. Yan. So, copy, product add. So, dito, paste. Okay. And then, we will create variable. So, code equals rows code. Something like that. Okay. Name equals column name of the table, the name. Duplicate. And then, this one is price. Diba? This one is price.
Sino gusto? Ano pa yan? Kumakapilang kay Daily Benz.
Thank you, sir. Stocks and stocks. So, something like that.
Kanina pa daw na ano oras doon.
Okay, so to display that into our text box, so ganito gawin natin. Ito, condition tayo. PHP. Di ba? So, gagawin natin, pag edit, disable natin yung code para hindi ma-modify kasi primary key natin siya. So, that's, kasi once na nagmo-modify ka ng record, may criteria to identify sino yung i-edit mo. Pangalawa, pag nag-modify ka, hindi mo pwedeng i-modify yung primary key niya. Ang primary key natin is yung code. So, gawa tayo. I-set. Condition tayo. Meron bang code na set, na variable? Kung meron, gagawin natin is read only equals
Nagbuha pa ako sige, nakadagdag pa si mga bayaran.
yeah, double check natin kung tama yung read only HTML. Check ko lang kung tama yung ko pagkakaintindi ko sa read-only attribute ng text box. Para di natin siya ma-edit. Okay, read-only. Yeah, read-only lang talaga. Okay. So yun. Otherwise, we will be displaying none. Okay. Okay, so ito pala dapat ay ganyan. Kasi madi-display natin siya. Okay. Ayun. Okay, so ngayon, lang, meron akong mali ah. Okay. Teka lang, may mali ako dito ah. Expected. Ayaw niya. PHP. Echo kasi may condition siya eh. Okay, ganyan na lang. Oh, ayaw pa rin. Question mark. Colon. Teka lang, ano mali nito? I see. Alam ko na. Okay lang pala yun. Okay lang. Kulang ako ng parentheses. Ayan. Okay. So ngayon, copy ko to. Copy. Okay. So ilalagay ko naman siya sa name. So ilalagay ko na lang siya dito siguro. Okay. So value equals ganyan. Ito din, value equals ganyan. So ngayon, kung meron akong na-set na PHP code, instead na read-only, di-display ko yung laman ng code. Diba? Iba naman yung kaninang read-only. So, code. Okay. So, copy ko to. Copy. This one is name. Okay, let's try to run for the meantime. So, ayan, meron siyang Lucky Me Pancit Canton. Ito, hindi siya nagra-run. Baka mali yung read-only.
Spelling po ng value, sir.
Value. Thank you. Nagmamadali tayo para matapos agad. Okay, copy natin to. Copy. Then, oops. Ala. Price. Okay. Price. Okay. This one is stocks, di ba? Stocks. Okay, so now, let us render the page. Ayan, nandiyan na siya. So, palitan natin to ng 222. Kunwari lang nagpindot tayo ng 222. Di ba? Doon na lang tayo sa products. Product list, edit 444. Edit. Ayan, nandiyan na siya. Di ba? So, you can edit na. Ngayon, paano ng pag-save niya? So, ganito na ang pag-save niya. So, para ma-save siya, papalitan natin yung name na to. Diba? Papalitan natin ng it's either, ito na lang, para hindi confusing sa inyo, magko-condition na lang tayo. So, PHP, okay. So, copy natin itong condition sa taas. Kung merong na set, ayan, kung merong na set na code sa taas, ibig sabihin, edit yun. So, edit, di ba? Ngayon, pag edit yung laman, or edit yung naging purpose natin, ito yung i-display natin na button. Okay, so close ko muna to para ma-display ko HTML. Okay. Kung edit, papalitan natin ang caption ng button na edit, di ba? Edit, something like that. Otherwise, kung hindi naman na-set yung ano, ibig sabihin, add nyo yun. Ito yung button na yung nagagamitin natin. Okay? So, what will happen to this one? So, ano mangyayari? Explain ko Okay. Pag edit yung nangyari, ito yung lalabas na button. Ibig sabihin, mag-submit tayo ng criteria na edit ang tig-click ko na button. Otherwise, ang lalabas sa button ay this one. So, palitan natin to ng update instead na save. Update. Para hindi kayo ma-confuse. So, lalabas tong button na to pag edit, lalabas tong button na to pag admin. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so edit natin itong 444. Ayan, notice nyo, update na siya. Ibig sabihin, ang lumabas na button ko, hindi yung add new, kundi yung edit. Diba? So, yun. Okay. Hopefully, naintindihan siya. Diyos ko Lord, sana naintindihan. Okay, so yun. Ngayon, update na tayo. So, punta na tayo doon sa ating process product. So, this time, gagawa ulit tayo ng panibagong condition. So, else if, okay, so this time, ano ba yung ginawa niya sa product? Nag-edit ba siya? So, kung edit siya, kopyahin natin to. Kasi pares lang naman ang form na ginamit natin. Diba? So, paste. Ayan. So, ngayon, okay lang? Nandiyan pa kayo? Nandiyan pa? Okay. So, ngayon,
Yes, sir.
okay. Paste ko siya. Ano yun? Okay. Sino? Okay na. Okay. So, yun. Ngayon, instead na insert into, we will be using update command. Update products. But this time, we are going to set. Set. Okay. Code. Hindi tayo magpapalit ng code, di ba? Set name equals anong magiging value ng name? Eto na. So, si code na yun. So, tanggalin ko na to Ayan. So, magiging value niya ay yung code, comma, price. Siyempre, yung price. Ay, sorry. Name pala is name. Sorry po. Price equals to price. Stocks. Equal to stocks. Pero magkakaroon tayo ng criteria. Kasi sa update, you need to specify alin na record ang ina-update mo. So, where, spelling na naman, code equals to the value of the selected record from the database. Ngayon, let's check kung tama yung nakita natin. Yan, meron na siya. Diba? So, may 444. So, ibig sabihin, ma-update siya. So, ngayon, balikan natin new product. Ano bang record natin dito pag edit? Edit, product, then code. So, let's copy this one. Copy, process, and then paste. Okay. Ano nangyari? Lahat ata na kopya. Okay. Ano nangyari? Wait lang Ang dami naman na kopya. Product list. Ito lang kinokopya natin. Okay. So, yun. And then, process product. So that kung may error, babalik siya rito. Di ba? Notice nyo may error kasi pwede naman gawing double quotes to. Kasi may laman tayong variable. Ayan. Okay. Kulang ko ng parenthesis. Okay. Ayaw. Uy. Ito pala. Kahit di na tayo maglagay ng ganito kasi meron na tayong PHP na kasama doon. Ayan. Instead of rows, gamitin natin yung code. Okay, kasi wala naman tayong pinasa. Ayan. Okay na. Ngayon, dito naman, product successfully updated. Or updated successfully, rather. Okay. Okay, so now, let's test. Refresh tayo ulit. Okay, ngayon, update. Error. Anong error naging error? Double check natin. Set name. Kulang tayo ng double quotes kaya pala. Okay, sorry man. Okay, so ngayon, double check natin. Update. Ayun, product, so, wala na pala tayo minodify. Modify natin. Gawin natin Coke. Coke. Ayan, update. Ayun, so Coke 1.5 na siya. So that's how you edit. Palitan natin yung price. Let's say, nagbago na yung price niya. 78. Update. Ayan. By the way, napansin ko, kanina, edit natin ha. Okay, dapat, diba, 75.55. What will happen is, nagiging 78.6. It's because of my database. Kasi sa database ko, ano ata siya, automatic whole number siya. So, palitan ko lang Oh, yan. Dapat may decimal tayo dito. Let's say 2 decimals para mag-accommodate siya ng 2 decimals. Okay, so balikan natin yung ating page. Huwag kayong mag-alala, malapit na tayo. Okay, palitan natin to ng 0.55. Update. Ayan na siya. Okay, so ngayon, delete naman. Delete. Refresh natin. Ayan. So ngayon, delete naman. So how do we do that? Again, we must update the link from product list. Instead, lagyan din natin siya ng ganito. Copy, paste. But this time, we will be accessing the same URL. Okay? So, saan na ba tayo? Ano bang ginamit natin? So, form. Yeah. Saan na ba yun? Okay, so ito. Siguro ang gagawin natin, page. Saan na yung edit natin? Edit. Ano ba ginamit natin? Process product, yeah. So, instead na dashboard, process product, gagawin natin delete. Delete. Sino yung i-delete natin? Yung laman ng code. Okay, delete. Ayan. So, ang mangyayari, parang ganito. Lalabas dyan, process product.php, lalabas, delete, equals 444. Kasi yun yung i-delete natin. Di ba? So, pag nakita natin to dun sa process product.php, may nakita tayong parameter na delete, kukunin natin yung value niya. Okay? Kaya, ang ginawa natin, process product, delete, and then, kulang tayo ng equal. Okay, then laman ng row. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so double check pala natin yung process product. Automatic ma-redirect tayo siguro. Hindi naman Okay, hindi tayo ma-redirect. Okay, so ngayon, refresh natin siya. Then delete. Okay, so notice yun na siya. Process product, question mark, variable, delete value 444. So to do that, to process that, gawin tayo ng else if ulit. Else if, gawa ulit tayo ng request. Okay. Check natin kung may delete siyang nakita. Okay. Delete. Okay. Kung meron, dapat yung delete, hindi siya dapat blanco. So, okay. Let's try. Okay. Kala ko naputol ang recording ko. Ay, salamat. Hindi naman pala. So, delete, not equal to blank. Something like that. So, dapat may delete na parameter, dapat yung delete na yun, hindi siya blanco para ma-process natin yung delete. Okay? Okay, kopyahin ulit natin to. Okay. So, kopyahin natin to, copy, Kasi code lang naman ang laman niya. Pangalawa, ba't may error ako dito? Ano nangyari? Okay, close. Ba't may error dito? Unexpected comma? Saan yun? Close. Request. Sige, palagyan natin ng parentheses. Para, okay. So, open, close, open, close, open, close. Okay. Wait lang. Ayaw lumabas. Okay, so now, let's continue. So, the next thing we need to do is to process again a query. Copy natin to uli. Okay. Ngayon, we will be redirecting all our pages doon sa ating product list in case na may mali or in case na may error doon sa ating process. Hindi ko ma-identify ito. Saan kaya to? Syntax error, unexpected, end of file. Nandito yung problem. Bakit kaya? Wala naman akong nakitang problema. Unexpected end of file. Else if
Sir, siguro po sa line 54,
ito,
kulang siya sing close parenthesis tsaka yung curly brace po ba yun? Diyan po sa stacks. Sa set name.
ito kasi number siya. So hindi niya kailangan ng single quote. Number kasi siya. Teka lang. Edit muna natin to. Delete muna tayo. Delete from, kasi delete siya eh. Delete from products. Ito lang naman ang kailangan natin parang delete ng product. Yung where condition to delete specific product that matches the code, okay, from our query. So, hinahanap ko, asan ito? Kasi ang match niya, ito. May if tayo, ito yung close niya, open, close. Hinahanap ko itong match nito. Ang sabi dito daw. So, in our world, deleting, mamaya ano natin, deleting product, okay. Product successfully deleted. Okay. Pila to? Tanggalin natin to muna. Oh, okay na. Abnormal yung IDE ko. Okay na siya. Okay na. So now, let's try. Abnormal yung IDE ko. Okay. So ngayon, try natin uli. Okay, so yan. Refresh natin. Our objective is to delete this product. Delete. Hindi siya na-delete. Bakit kaya? Sorry. Okay, so let's try to check. Okay, may request ba ng code? Where code equals to code. Okay, let us check kung talagang may nare-retrieve tayong code. Okay, so echo natin to. Echo code. Kasi baka naman wala. Or, it's either echo natin tong part na to. Yeah, ito na lang siguro. Echo natin yung query. Echo query. Something like that. Diba? From products where code equals. Okay. So, let's check natin. Okay, delete. Ayan. Syntax error asterisk 68. So, yun pala yung mali. Line 68. Sorry. Ulitin natin. Refresh. What happened? Dapat pala i-ano natin para hindi siya magano. Okay. Delete. Okay. Undefined code. Huh? Request. Hindi
Number
pala.
1.
Delete pala. Delete. Sorry. Sorry. Ayan. Delete from code where 44. Ayun. So, ito, based on my demonstration, when you perform a task like this one, always make sure that you display any query or any output that you need to expect. Kasi pag hindi, talagang wala kayong ma-execute na correct line. Okay? So, it's a good practice that you echo something na gusto nyong ma-check. Okay? Now, okay. Finger cross tayo. Okay. Para matapos na tayo. Okay. Now, delete. Ayun. So, wala na siya. Delete pa tayo ng isa para maganda. Delete. Okay. Wala na siya. So, refresh tayo. Diba? Wala na. So, that's the basic idea of add, edit, and delete. So, hopefully, na-cover natin lahat. Okay. Na-cover ba lahat? Yeah, na-cover lahat. Okay, wala na. Okay. So, question so far. So, I will be closing the recording. Stop ko muna yung recording. Okay.